Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kosietu from the Research Capacity Development Unit at the Postgraduate School. I'll be your moderator for today's session. I was just allowing some few more people to join in, trying to give them some time. And I think now we already have 10 attendees. I think we can start the session now. Firstly, thank you to everyone who made their time to join us in today's session. Our facilitator for today is Dr. Marfo. Let me introduce you to Dr. Marfo. Dr. Marfo is a senior lecturer at the Center for Advanced Learning Technology in Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Mathematics and the Department of Science and Technology Education at the University of Johannesburg. She holds a PhD in Science Education, a Master's in Science Education, and a BSc in biochemistry. Dr. Marfo currently does research in technology and hence science education with a focus on the affordances of virtual and augmented reality in science teaching and learning, simulation and hence science learning and inquiry-based science education. Dr. Marfo has also published some of her work in reputable journals and various national and international conferences, including South African countries, ISTE, ISET, ICPE, and IND International. Before joining the University of Johannesburg, Dr. Marfo spent 8 years in high school teaching natural sciences, physical sciences, life sciences, mathematics, and technology in South African schools. Just few ground rules, colleagues, and to all our participants. I will unmute your mics and please do make sure that there is no background noise coming from it to allow you to answer questions using a raise hand button or using a chat button during the session. This session is recorded and all the resources used in this session will be shared to your respective Moodle communities. Dr. Mafu, I think you can proceed. Thank you so much for honoring our invite and taking your time to facilitate today's session.
All right, thank you so much, Gosi. Thank you for the very warm welcome, and thank you so much, colleagues that are from the Postgraduate School and the RCD. Thank you, participants, for joining. I'm here at APK sitting in my office, and it's quite a nice time to be engaging with everyone who is joining the session and trying to share a little bit about my postgraduate journey and encouraging you to walk that path proudly. So if you would permit me, can I just please share my slides from the side?
Yes, Doc, you can start sharing your slide.
Okay. Let me see whether it overrides your own. Okay. Right.
Yes,
so
I can see your slide on me.
All right. Thank you so
Side.
much. Okay, so today, colleagues and also all the PG students joining, I will be sharing a very short title here about building resilience in a fast-changing world as an emerging researcher, because I feel that understanding the postgraduate journey or my personal postgraduate journey is a story of resilience. And I think it would be the same for all the participants that are in the session today. Resilience, why resilience? I would have started from anywhere. There are so many things, but they can all be summed up as part of being a resilient person. And when I started my journey, just before I go out of this page, I realized that there is something we all need within us. It is the strength to go on no matter what. And when I looked at everything that was happening, I realized that the postgraduate journey is like a story of, more than anything, resilience. How you can stand even though all the forces might not be in your favor. So today, I want to introduce my journey to all of you, and then I want to talk a bit about building resilience as part of your postgraduate journey, and then the lessons that you can take with you as you progress in this journey, because it is a journey. If you have been told in the past that it is a sprint where you just move by and swipe by, no, it is not the case. It is a journey, and you have to go through many turns and corners to arrive at your destination. And then I'll look at some lessons that you take, some reflections and conclusions, and I'll open the floor then for question and answer series. I don't know how many minutes I have for the presentation. Can you put me on time, Kosietu, please?
Yes, Doc, you have 2 hours.
Okay, thank you so much. So if you look at the image on what seems to be the right-hand side of your screen, you would see the hand of one of my students holding an iPad and looking straight into what seems to be a virtual lab. That is the best picture I could use to represent my journey, because I have, as a researcher, been passionate about the use of virtual learning spaces for teaching and learning science. And that is the school of thought where I came from. So I'm saying this interest started way before the pandemic could even come to us as a people. I started using virtual learning environments from 2012 as a science teacher teaching in a township school, where we had one central computer lab for all our learners, and you would use it on first come, first serve basis. So in my case, I started with simulations, animations, and then I gradually started moving to different kinds of 3D virtual labs until I got myself in 2019 into virtual and augmented reality, and how these tools can be used to enhance science learning, visualization of abstract concepts, and just immerse students in more engagement. All right. So with that brief introduction, I just want to share with you a bit about my journey. So I was born and raised in Cameroon, which is a bilingual country. People there speak a bit of English and more of French, because we have about 8 French provinces and 2 English provinces. I hail from one of the English-speaking provinces, but through my life, I was forced to speak French, so I can speak some French. Now, I started my research life as a research technician after my first degree and my honors in biochemistry. I started working as an analytical biochemist. So you can imagine being in a lab all day, 24 hours sometimes, if it has to come to that, because you have to produce results. That made me to be very strong as a person. So from 2005, shortly after I graduated, to 2006, I was working in that analytical lab until I eventually found the love of my life. He was a easygoing guy, but the difficult part was he lived in South Africa, a place that was at least 7,000 nautical miles away from Cameroon, and I had to relocate. And so when I relocated, the first thing was I was looking for a job, because naturally, as a working person, when you come to a new place, you want to see where you can fit in. And so I applied for so many lab jobs. And every lab that looked like the lab where I used to work in Cameroon told me, no, ma'am, you can't work here. You need to certify many things before you work here. So I took that opportunity to certify many other things. But unfortunately, I did not get the appointment that I desired at the time. And I was appointed instead at the GDE as a science teacher, actually as an unqualified science teacher, because I did not have any kind of a teaching qualification. So from that experience, that was the first point of me building resilience. I had completely gone out of my comfort zone, which was staying in a lab 24/7, if that was what it took, into a classroom where I had to interact with human beings. Remember, at this point, I was used to interacting with test tubes, clamps, vacuum sealers, maybe centrifugation machines, and nothing to do with people. So this was an eye opener, and I had a lot of learning experiences. But from this was born the journey of resilience, because I realized that as an emerging researcher, the first thing you need to know is that discomfort is part of the journey. You will not always be in your comfort zone. You will bring up that proposal, and someone of more authority will tell you, no, we don't do this kind of research in this faculty. We don't do this kind of your niche area here. So you need to adapt it to fit in better with the kind of research that is done here. And so from your side, as the postgraduate student, you must be flexible, you must be adaptable, and you must choose wisely so that you can fit in and run. Remember, those who have walked the path before you, they know some things that they can actually give to you as mentoring for free, and you would be glad that you considered it. So I mean, that is my story. And I taught for so many years from 2009 to 2016. But while teaching, I realized that being an unqualified educator discredited me a lot. I was not able to earn the same as my peers. I was not able to get the same promotions as them because I did not have any education qualification. And that began my journey to the UJ. So to cut the long story short at this point, I came to UJ, and when I came to UJ, I had decided I was going to move away from the Department of Basic Education and take my career out of the classroom and make more meaning by joining an education fraternity. When I reached the UJ, they had a job to offer me, so I became a tutor. And for this post, I earned at least 1/8 of what I was earning as a science teacher. So I can see now that I'm building the story. If you look at the timelines, you would see it starts as a high and then it goes to a low when I move out of a comfort zone. Then I am in that comfort zone, a new comfort zone. Then I move back to a high where I am taken to another area of pain where I have to start again from the beginning. So I came into the Faculty of Education as a tutor. I was so excited. And then when I saw the money, I was a bit discouraged, and it built more resilience. So from being a faculty tutor, I was promoted to becoming an assistant lecturer. And so that was a great promotion at the time, because I was at a low point when I was a tutor. And at this point, I had started with my master's degree ideas. These were only ideas. I was not even fully registered. But thanks to the postgraduate school, thanks to all the resources that the UJ has, I got a scholarship, which is the Global Excellence in Stature Scholarship, the GES, and I was registered as an M.Ed, considering that my tutor salary could not do much. The scholarship was quite a lifting. And with that, I was able to pursue my master's and graduate from that process, acquiring a lot. Then I became an assistant lecturer. And in that process, I started again with new learnings, being in the academia, embracing change while becoming a researcher. There were many times I would ask questions and I would receive a rejection. There were many times I would ask for opportunities even, and I would be told that as an assistant lecturer, you are not qualified for certain privileges. And this made me study harder. It made me keep striving so that I could move from that place to another zone. And that is the story of resilience. So I became a lecturer then in 2020. And from there on, moved on to doing a PhD. And today I am now a senior lecturer. Okay, so that is a bit about my narrative. I just want to give you some of the highlights of what I consider to be the things that got me started as a postgraduate student. Remember, I could ordinarily have just stayed where I was, being a science teacher and just getting my monthly salary without complaining. But the first thing as a postgraduate student, the thing that should motivate you to wake up every day, the first thing for me was curiosity. I wanted to know more because I realized that the more I interacted with people, I found out that I didn't know so much. I went to meetings and workshops and I interacted with colleagues who had come from an education background. And I realized that some of them with higher qualifications had more depth in terms of their knowledge. It was not necessarily all of them, but I admired that and I wanted to know more. Then passion. Remember, I had come from a laboratory environment where I did not used to work with people. But when I started working with people in the education sector, I enjoyed social interactions. I realized that I had a strong, profound passion to interact with people. And so, because of that passion, I decided to pursue research in education where I can interact more with people and actually have an impact. One of the other reasons why I joined the research community to becoming a postgraduate student is I listened to counsel from those who knew better than me. I actually talked to people who have been on that journey. And do you know what? And I think most of the participants will know this. I was told blatantly and truthfully to my face that if you stay in the classroom forever, you will be a service provider to the nation with a good name and no growth in your career. I thought this was a joke, but it made a lot of sense after reflection. I realized that many teachers continue to teach even after 25 years. And you go back to that school, you will find your same grade one teacher who has been teaching there for so many years and has never changed. That teacher might not have become the HOD. Maybe he or she is nothing else but just the teacher. So I wanted to choose for myself an opportunity that will make me grow as a person, but that will also make me exploit some of my passions in research and interacting with people socially. So I came to the UJ. One thing that I did, and I must emphasize this to all the postgraduate students in the session, I used up all the opportunities that were given to gain skills. I went around knocking all the doors that I found, and I had a positive attitude towards research, towards knowing more. So that is my first point. You need to have a positive attitude towards research and towards knowing more. Otherwise, you should not actually be in a postgraduate program. So, what is your attitude towards research? Think about that question. Are you going to show a positive and more interesting or motivated attitude towards the research, or you are going to say, oh no, I just do this because I need my qualification? Remember, it is passion that opens the doors. Passion for what you do and how you do it. Now, the next thing that also came up was benchmarking with your peers. You have been in this master's, you have registered, you have started. You've been in this PhD, you registered, you have started. How do you measure up with your peers? The cliche in modern education is that no, I am not competing with anyone. My only competition is myself. That is a fallacy. In the real world, whether you like or you are not interested, you will have to face competition with your peers. And I share a personal experience where I had to be in Europe for an Erasmus engagement. And we were told that all the senior lecturers in the room, please, can you open to your Google Scholar profile so that we can see what you have been doing in terms of benchmarking. How do you situate yourself? You say, okay, at UJ, I'm a senior lecturer, or I am a PhD student. How do you compare with other PhD students the world over? Are you doing the good quality research? Are you publishing? Are you writing your chapters in the style that will call for a readership? Those are questions you need to ask yourself as well. And then the ultimate goal of every researcher is to make societal impact. Will the research make societal impact? That should spark your goal as a postgraduate student. If you're only thinking, okay, let me impress my department, let me impress my family, let me impress myself, what about the society from which you're coming from? So the question is, if you are not making a broader change by your little research, what are you adding to the community of practice? What will we know you for at the end of the business day? So personally, today as Dr. Mafopen, I can say that from the numerous research that I have engaged in, I have made a wealth of societal impact in my own capacity. In many township schools, I have trained teachers, so many teachers over the years, on how to use simulations and how to integrate technology into their classrooms seamlessly, from rural classrooms to high market classrooms. That is impact. So think of how you can use your research as a platform to change something or to add a little to the society that you have left. That will motivate you in this research journey. All right. So moving on, I just want to tell you, but not in, and these are all verifiable, not in an attempt to fan my own flame. Actually, when I did the benchmarking I told you about in Europe, I found that I was actually behind a few of my peers, and in some cases, I was actually doing better than some of the peers. So today, as of today, I have published 11 peer-reviewed articles, of course, with other colleagues. I have also published 18 peer-reviewed conference proceedings and 6 book chapters, incredible publications, of course. And I have made several presentations in different conferences around the world, starting from 2018 when I was still a master's student. And for those presentations, I got so many awards. So what I'm saying is, in this your postgraduate journey, do not be afraid to dare, do not be afraid to take steps that will expose your work, that will showcase your work, and therefore attract support from other colleagues in your space or in your community of practice. So I received so many awards. I did receive international awards at the International Conference for Physics Education. I received other international awards at different conferences. I'm actually losing count of some of these certificates. I also, for my master's, received the Chancellor's Medal for the most meritorious master's degree in the Faculty of Education in 2019. The project was an international collaboration with about 60 countries in the world participating to collect data about the use or the knowledge of scientific inquiry in different school levels. And mine was focused on grade 12s. And I did that in collaboration with so many researchers, even though it was just a master's degree. Now, I also won so many scholarships. In fact, at one point, I was asking myself whether there were no people that were applying for these scholarships. So take the opportunity to apply for scholarships. The postgraduate school is there to support you, and all the colleagues from the research capacity and development can give you information about that in future meetings on how to go about applying for funding. Some of these scholarships, I would just say, okay, let me just apply, because I had made up my mind. Remember what I said, every opportunity that is given, take it. Don't let it slip, because you are going to suffer. Just take it. There is no harm if you don't make it. Just take it and run with it. So I got the NRF, I got the GES, I got the URC, I got the Erasmus. It's been a couple more that have been allocated more recently. All right. So what is the next item on my menu? Building resilience, a core value. It is a core value. The first question you want to ask is, what is resilience? As a postgraduate student, please remember that resilience is actually the capacity to adapt successfully to change, to adversity, to trauma, to stress, or even sources of stress. One of the sources, not that your studies will become stress, but one of the fundamental sources of your stress as a postgraduate student are your studies. So when you build resilience, you are building the ability to adapt, to become strong in the face of every turn and corner through your postgraduate journey. It involves the ability to bounce back from difficult experiences and to develop strategies to cope, recover, and thrive despite the challenges. So are you a postgraduate student who is experiencing any kind of difficulty? It might be that you're starting out, your supervisor does not understand how you communicate. Maybe you do not understand how the supervisor communicates, and that is causing you a lot of problems. You need to build a thick skin. So in short, building resilience is building a thick skin to be able to listen, unlearn, relearn, and move forward. So you take out some of the things that are getting in the way, and then you move forward. In my personal capacity, I just like sharing some stories. I had the first experience that I had that had me as a postgraduate student shaken is I came to have the first meeting with my supervisor, and my supervisor told me, look here, lady, I do not spoon feed people. And I knew nothing about education. That made me very scared. I need you to work hard and show me the results. I will only provide guidance. I will not be doing your study for you. That was hard to take because I had thought about the experience that I will just come and receive and keep receiving. And I realized, oh, this is challenging because I was now realizing that the ball was in my court. Whether I make progress or I don't, the ball will be in my court. So I started working towards that. And I had to put in the daily hours to meet up with the expectation. Now, resilience is also not just about surviving, but it's also about learning and growing stronger through the process. Are you learning as a postgraduate student? Learning not from only the people that you see as higher authority, but also learning from your peers. Because when you're looking up, you should be looking left and right as well to see what are others doing, how can they support me. So look at learning, continuously growing, continuously strengthening yourself. Okay, so that is the one aspect. So I just want to go into some of the things that, you have to look at as a postgraduate student for managing the unique challenges of academic work. Okay, so you build your resilience and you're able to manage all of the challenges, because most of us as postgraduate students, and I would think that some of you in the session do share this, you would find that the balancing act is very hard. Because as a postgraduate student, you want to have something doing on the side. Maybe you're tutoring, maybe you're doing other work at the university, or you're doing other work elsewhere, but you have to still make progress in your study. Some of you might even be working at full-time jobs, but you have to still make progress in your study. That is the thing. So the first one is to develop a very strong support system. Develop it. Why? Everything in blue is the why. Emotional backing, practical advice, and encouragement is very important in your postgraduate journey. There should be people that can back you any time of the day or night, that can make the sacrifices to understand that you have to be studying instead of being at a family meeting or a party or a club or something. Those people are important. Those that do not support your journey, please drop them. Leave them alone in their own lane. When you are done with your postgraduate studies, you can reconnect with them if you value those relationships. But in the meantime, while your eyes are set on the prize, work with people that can support you emotionally. And what are the actions there? You must attend networking events. That is events that are in your field of research. You must seek out mentors who understand your academic and personal goals. That is really important. You need to find people that support your agenda. Not people who know that, of course, you have to be writing at the library and they are calling you on the phone and saying, hey, hi there, can you come? Let's go hang out somewhere else. Or we have this event on Saturday. Can you be part of it all night? You know. So think about your priorities and your support system. Now, the second part is practice self-care. This is something I learned the hard way. Why? Because maintaining a physical and mental health that is stable is essential for managing stress and staying focused in your study. If your physical health is not okay, of course, you know you will not make progress. If your mental health is not able, you cannot think. You will suffer from many writer's blocks. You will not be able to write. You will be on that computer looking at the screen for 6 hours and you will not even write a full paragraph. So you need to take steps to do some exercise. The actions are exercise well, have a balanced diet. PhD students, please take note. Those of you who have 5 cups of coffee a day, please take note. Without eating anything, please take note. You need to eat a balanced diet and then some coffee. Not have coffee all day and then a small meal. You need to sleep. The lack of sleep or sleep deprivation is the worst thing that can happen to a postgraduate student. Because when your mind is tired due to lack of sleep, you cannot write. You cannot think. You cannot make critical conclusions as a researcher. So whether you're doing a master's, an honors, or a PhD, you are a researcher in the making. You must be able to balance it out. So in my case, I added my kind of meditation. In my journey, I added some meditation. I started doing yoga routinely and other kinds of things that can just help me to relax and take a break and recharge. In your case, it might be that you are a person who loves going to the gym. Take out time to build your physical and mental health. It's really important for your progress. Okay. The third one is you must be able to set goals and manage time effectively. You must be able to set attainable, realistic goals. Now, why is this important? Because if you do that, if you set attainable goals and you have efficient time management, you will reduce the amount of stress and you will increase your productivity. This is a fact. It has been proven over and over for generations. Time is our most non-renewable resource. I don't know whether you've heard this over and over. You don't have time. Once you identify a vision and a goal, run with it. Run with it. Do not waste time, because while you're wasting time, many things are happening. Other people are taking your ideas and running faster than you. Other people are making sure that they play the delay game and they are delaying you from what you are supposed to attain. So you need to set clear, attainable goals and you must run with them. If you do that, you become more productive. You become more successful in your journey. Okay, so what do you do? From my side, I used to use planners, prioritizing my tasks. I use the one that I have on Teams or Microsoft 365. There is something that helps you there to plan your daily task, and you can plan. It can help you. It can provide reminders for what must be done, what must be done before the end of the week. And sometimes it is not possible because we are human beings. Situations arise. You become sick. Something happened. You needed to go away. Emergency. You are not around, and you don't finish the goals. Be flexible. You come back to the drawing board and you start again. Now, fourthly, you need to cultivate a growth mindset. I don't know how much I can emphasize this one, but if you are a person who sees failure as something that will limit you, then you are not supposed to be in any kind of a postgraduate program, whether you're doing an honors, a master's, or a PhD. So what you must do from now going forward, if you've not been doing it, is anytime anyone says no to me or rejects my work, be it my supervisor, be it my peers, be it at a conference, be it from a journal article that I'm trying to publish, this is what you say to yourself mentally. This rejection is not my marriage. It is not a divorce. It is not a relationship I have with my parents. Therefore, I will quickly move on from it. You must say this in your head all the time. Personally, from my successes, and I like this kind of sessions. I just really laugh about it, but I like these sessions because they help us to talk about the positives. But in my mind and in this session, I also like to say that of all my successes, there are so many rejections that came along the way. You can see when I was sharing my publications that I have published 11 co-authored papers in journals that are reputable. But of these 11 co-authored papers came 11 other rejections. But in this presentation, I have not shown you how many rejections that came. So remember that the mindset to grow, to learn from rejection, it's very important in the research journey. Anytime you see a challenge, take it as an opportunity. Grow from it. Do not dwell on it. It is not your marriage. It is not your unbreakable family relationship. Move from that place and move very fast because the time will not wait for you. All right. The fifth one, as we already know, is you need to recognize when you need help. You need to recognize when you need support of any kind from anyone. Please, please, postgraduates, it is not a sign of weakness. It is actually a sign of profound strength. When you need help, go for it. Don't say, oh, now what will they say about me? I'm not so good, so I will not tell anyone my troubles. No, go for it. I remember in my master's journey, I went to everyone to ask for help when it came to the time when I needed to collect data. Accessing schools and accessing grade 12s was a challenge, but I asked from help from everyone that I knew, and it happened. So this is my encouragement. Do not hesitate to seek help from counselors, therapists, advisors, the postgraduate school, the library, StatCon, which is the statistical analysis unit of the University of Johannesburg. If you're not conversant with any kind of analysis or statistical analysis, to be precise, go to StatCon, ask for help. Because if you are feeling overwhelmed and you're not getting support, it has a toll on your mental health and you will not make progress in your postgraduate journey. So with these 5 points, I just want to say that it is possible for you to push and to make progress in this journey without necessarily giving up, because sometimes you feel like giving up. every day. But I urge you, from this, my personal experience and my stories of resilience, do not give up. For many times that I received a yes, move ahead or move forward, I had received some no's before that yes, but I kept asking and I kept moving forward. So, what are the lessons I want you to take from this session? I want you to identify your interest early and run with it. Time is your most prized resource. There is no resource that is pricier than time. Today is the 25th of July of 2024, and after this day is gone, 25th of July 2024 will never come back to you. There is no recycling of time. Stay motivated. If you do not motivate yourself in your postgraduate journey, it will be hard for others to motivate you. You must show others that you're already motivated so that they will, together with you, continue to motivate you. Remember why you started the journey. If your motivation was to get that qualification, get my honors, get my master's, get my PhD, and become a doctor, then keep running until you become that doctor. If your motivation is to do research that helps in sustainable development and make societal changes, think about that particular societal change when you want to give up. It will motivate you to stand. So remember why you started in the first place. It is very bad to start something that you cannot finish. Now, one of the strategies that helped me a lot, and it was a good lesson, is that you have to celebrate small milestones. Every progress you make, celebrate it. Get yourself a nice t-shirt that says, slow down and make progress, or stay calm and make action. You know, reward yourself. If you're the type who wants to go watch a movie, go watch a movie. Celebrate your small wins. It is actually a marathon. It's not a sprint. You have to enjoy the process. Now, utilize all campus resources, and I emphasize on all. Don't leave any resource without using it. You can say, oh no, this resource is redundant. Go to the library, look at how to search databases. That's a whole session on its own, and how to use every resource that the library has. Go to the postgraduate school, find out about the workshops and attend the ones that you can attend, and get involved in this whole thing. Let your soul be immersed in your work and making progress. Ask for funding support if you need one. Now, one lesson that kept me day and night was the ability to adapt. As things begin to change, you need to change faster. If you refuse to be bended or to change, you will not be able to make progress in your postgraduate journey. For instance, when we look at what happened between 2022 November and now, the introduction of generative AI in all manners of spaces, it has shifted the world. And today we talk about Research 5.0. So if you're still in 4.0, you are on your own. You have to ethically use the tools that are coming up to help your research. Change, chop, delete some ideas, and move on with new ideas. There are so many engines that now help students to do literature review. One of them is Research Rabbit, and there are at least 1,000 others that will help you to summarize different kinds of reviews, things that we used to use about 3 weeks to do, putting together the literature, highlighting it, cutting notes and pasting. That Research Rabbit can do for you in 3 clicks of the mouse. And you're sitting behind your computer every day wondering how you can copy from other generative AI engines, yet you could just have beautiful images generated from another engine that can help you to do the work legitimately without any judgment. So think of how to adapt. The world is changing fast, and you cannot be able to move if you don't adapt. Then you have to persevere. Things don't always happen when you want them to happen. You must also be flexible in your approach. If your supervisor tells you, hey, maybe this is a new trick that is going to come up in this study, let's look at it this way. Be flexible. Don't say, oh no, I've wasted so much time now, I can't be flexible. They know exactly what will happen when you don't change that. So please be flexible, listen to counsel. If something needs to change, change it fast. And like I say, move on. Don't dwell on it. It is not a relationship in your family. Learn from your family, from your failures and setbacks. Any failure that you have is an opportunity to learn again. Just relearn and then correct yourself and move forward. That is something that is doable. I say this from experience because I remember when I started collecting data for my PhD study, COVID-19 was in my way. It was going to be the ultimate failure. But I kept putting one step forward and I kept pressing. I had to keep looking for ways around that situation, and I eventually got there. So we need to learn from all failures, and anything that is trying to hold you back, learn from it, take a corner, take a turn, and move forward. So I have come to the end, but I want to just give you a brief summary of my reflections on the postgraduate journey. One of the things that make postgraduate students, or at least 40% of postgraduate students, to drop out is that they don't enjoy the journey. They need it to be a microwave journey, to be very fast. And if it is dwelling or if it is delaying, they drop out quickly because they want instant gratification. But like I have highlighted already, this will be the third time. Research is a marathon. It is not a sprint. Whether you're doing an honors research project or you are doing a master's dissertation or a PhD thesis, you cannot sprint to the end. It is a story. It is a journey. There are turns, there are corners, and there are bends. So you must enjoy the journey. You must keep an open mind. One problem with the generation of new learners is that they are very impatient. Sometimes they want things to happen very fast. This is a killer of curiosity. If you want things to happen very fast in the way that you want it, it kills the whole essence of research. As a researcher or an emerging researcher, you need to be continuously curious. You need to love the thrill that comes with not knowing and wanting to know more. You must open your eyes and you must read. I actually forgot to add that as the point. You need to read in your area of focus. You read. I remember in my master's journey, every single day I read one article. Every single day, I summarized one article. That was then. Just 3 years later, you don't need to actually even do the summaries yourself. Use an engine to do the summaries, and then you sit down and make sense of them. So read in your area of research. Stay connected. Engage with the research community. You need to bond with people in your common research area. You can't say, no, guys, I'm just a sole trainer. I'm just going to do my own thing. Now, I think I would use this opportunity to highlight for those of you who have careers in higher education or desire to have careers in higher education, or you even desire to have career in research industry or in industry in general. You need people. You need a community of practice. In academia, you need peers, knowledgeable others who can review your papers, who can review your modules, who can review your research. So you cannot be a stand-alone project. We all as humans need people. That is one thing we must do. So engage. If there is a seminar, attend. If there is a workshop, be part of it. Ask questions, learn, seek to learn. Then keep evolving. Never stop growing, because when you finally think you know it all, you will realize that you are just starting. I share a personal experience again this year. I went to Japan in March and I met some researchers in my field of practice. They were all into learning analytics, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence in education. And when we sat down to analyze the work that we do, I realized that I am lost. First of all, arriving in Japan gives me the idea that we have about 50 light years to catch up with that country. So if you think you already know all, it is very hard to learn. So as a postgraduate student, you must embrace humility and you must seek to continuously learn and to evolve. It is important for your progress. Right. With that said, I bring you to one of my most famous quotes of all times from Martin Luther King Jr. He said, "If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do in this postgraduate journey, you have to keep moving forward." I even added to this quote by saying, if you can't crawl, then slide with your belly like a snake. But make sure that every day you move forward. Because those who stand still are not standing, they are actually regressing. So I thank you all for attending the session. And I think I would take questions now going forward. Thank you so much. Over to you, moderator.
Thank you so much, Doc. I think there is a question on the chat.
Okay, I can't see the
From
chat, or maybe I
Spencer.
can stop sharing.
Yes, I think you can stop sharing, or I can read the chat for you.
Okay.
From Spencer, he said, Doc, you talk about Research Rabbit or AI,
Yes.
a research engine for literature. My question is on plagiarism. How can one run away from plagiarism when one uses the search engine you mentioned?
That's a wonderful question. So should I answer or should I wait for all the questions to come through?
I think you can answer,
okay.
and then
All
we'll
right.
take questions as they come.
Okay, so thank you so much, Spencer. Thank you for your question. That's a very good question. So in my journey as a researcher, and I like it because I used to write small post notes, I realized that researchers, all researchers, and I think this is on the record, work on something that has been done by other people. And if you look at Research Rabbit, and you're very right, it is a search engine that uses the affordances of artificial intelligence or generative AI in that domain to gather literature for you. It gathers the literature for you and brings it in one place. And you can prompt it to make summaries. Now, the way to run away from plagiarism is not to copy those summaries as they are and dump it in your article or in your thesis or in your dissertation or your research report, whatever level of study you are in. The way to use these summaries is to get the idea, to paraphrase, to use that idea to write as though you were speaking with your own voice. And it is wonderful because it's like it's someone that is telling you what to write, but write it in the way you understand it. I don't know if that makes sense. Everything that is gathered for you on Research Rabbit is for you to actually take it and say, wow, okay, so this is what this article says. It gives you a summary of the title, the main problem of the study. Then it summarizes for you the key theoretical framework, if there is one, or the conceptual framework, the research methodology, and the findings. What you do with that is you take that and write it in your own words to avoid the trouble of getting into plagiarism and any other kinds of copy work implication that can come with copying directly. I really hope that helps.
Thank you, Doc. I don't know if this is a question directed to you or to other participants. From James, can someone here help me review my paper on AI for healthcare? I think it's directed to other peers, maybe.
Those from healthcare, you can please also help James Bogri to help with the paper, the review of AI for healthcare.
Thank
So
you.
if you're interested, just maybe they can just talk to him.
Any other questions from participants? Please make use of raise a hand and unmute your mic, and you can start.
Oh, we can't hear her. So somebody was trying to speak. I think it's PM, Pulafela Maju. We can't hear you.
Pulafelo, you can go ahead. Oh, okay. See on the chat again. Okay, it seems like we don't have other questions. Check on the chat box. Nothing. Just messages. Okay, colleagues, if we don't have questions, I think
No, I see one from Ricky there
from
saying
Rick.
I should share some tips on how you can relate, or some tricks I think, and tips to maintain good relations with your supervisor. Okay, that's a very good one. Okay, so thank you so much, Ricky, for asking that question. One of the fundamental things that I must also emphasize to all postgraduate students in session is that your supervisor is a human being. No matter how difficult that you may find them, they are also humans with real problems that plague them every day. So for my case, I actually had 5 things that I actually would mention, but I didn't want to belabor these points about relating and networking. The first one is approach, how you approach them. So if you are a person who can read people's moods, you must be careful to approach them respectfully at all times. It might be that you are going through a lot yourself, but be respectful in your approach. Be respectful in your approach. Weigh how the person reacts, gauge the person, and also be respectful in your approach. Building the best, and I'm saying now this from my experience as a supervisor and not as my experience, not from my experience as a postgraduate student, as a supervisor. Supervisors generally take students who work hard seriously. If you work hard and you meet your milestones, there is no supervisor in the world that will not take you seriously. Make the first step, make the first move. Some of my students, I actually said they were my driving students because before I can ask for something, they have already sent it. Before I can request, have you finalized chapter 1 to 3? I already get a draft. What is the progress you're making on the data collection? Before I can think of sending that email to ask, an email is already coming to me to say, I just completed a pilot. Can you please verify? So be good in your approach to your supervisor. Be careful how you approach them, but also do your work, because when you do your work, then it makes life easy for both you and the supervisor. Thirdly, you must have goals. Listen to this. Set goals for yourself that are faster than the goals that your supervisor sets for you. For instance, if you're doing, masters, and your aim is to finish in 1 year or in 9 months or in 2 years, set your goal at least 3 to 4 months earlier, or 6 months if you can, earlier than the set date. This will help you to make progress, and it will help you not to be under the pressure that comes with supervisors. Some of them can put a lot of pressure on you. And then the last one is dealing with their rejection. You know, it's very different when other people reject the things you're saying about your research. But if your supervisor rejects it, it becomes very painful. And sometimes you take it personal. So I just want to say one thing you must know, Ricky, is it is not your relationship. It is not your family member. It's not your father. It's not your mom. It's not your husband or wife. It is not your marriage that you are divorcing from. That rejection should not pain you to that extent. It is an opportunity for you to sit down and have a reasonable dialogue with your supervisor. The first thing, when you receive such a rejection, I have experienced it. I think I want to just share this one quickly if I have the time. At one time, I remember writing a whole chapter of my dissertation, and I sent it in for a review from my supervisor. He sent it back to me with a one-liner, one sentence. This is unacceptable. I'm not going to do your grammatical edits before I try to understand what you are writing. Get to work. I'm talking about maybe 45 pages of literature. The reply was one sentence. This is unacceptable. I'm not going to do your grammatical editing before I get to understand how you are writing this literature out. As a student, some people will use this now to relax for 2 weeks before looking at that work. They will be so like, why is this supervisor so rude? But I had learned through my journey of resilience that that is not what they intended. Like I said from the beginning, they are humans. It might have just been that that chapter came at a time where he was going through a lot and it was a bad time. So any small error, if I'm writing A and it becomes is, it's a big problem. At this time that we were writing, there was no Grammarly. Grammarly was not available for us. But now there is Grammarly. There is the UJ Writing Center. Why will you send in the work for your supervisor for them to first of all do the language editing before they get the sense? So it's for you to take proactive measures. I'm sharing these personal experience so that they can encourage someone. So start ahead of his timing so that you have enough time to revise that work, to make sure that you have put your best foot forward. Make sure that you do not take rejection from your supervisor as something else. No, it is not something else. They don't have a personal problem with you. Look at the reason why and make the changes. Thank you so much. I hope that answers your question, Ricky.
Thank you so much, Doc. Another question from Dumisang. How do we identify relevant AI tools for our research?
That's quite a good question there. Identify relevant AI tools for your research. There are so many. Let me see whether I can find. Ooh, okay. I'm not just seeing the right diary. I wanted to put a link, but I think the first step is think of what are the key words that are guiding your study. First of all, what are the key words that are guiding my study? Listen, generative AI engines like ChatGPT, Ayato, Gemini, there are so many that can write. That is something else. But for your research, your specific research, how is you think, what are the keywords in my research and what is the style in which I want to write? Then you can actually ask that chat GPT that you use for writing those is to say, look out, can you suggest 10 AI engines that I can use for the following? Drawing concept maps, creating a conceptual framework, beautifying my writing in a certain style, putting I did one of those searches recently. I was just looking for that link. So you start by asking the question yourself. From an AI engine, it will give you the adequate guidance. Some of them are biased, and I can tell you straight up, AI engines can be very biased, including GPT 4.0. It can be very biased. 4.5 as well can be very biased. It would tell you that you should ask everything open AI. So it starts listing all the open AI engines. You know, it will tell you if you want to draw things, use DALL-E. It will give you all their engines. But you can ask Llama 3. You can ask Gemini. You can ask Bard for how to use, but these are the core engines. Maybe I should be typing in the chat as well. So there's Bard by Google. There is Gemini. I don't know how you pronounce that, but you can just pronounce that. We agree on the spelling. There's GPT. If you can afford, get 4.5 or anyone that can help you. There is Llama by Meta. So you start from there, but that does not help you for your specific research. Why I'm saying this is because in my kind of writing, I want to draw concept maps. I want to draw beautiful diagrams that can interpret qualitative findings into diagrammatic representations. And these engines will help you to find what works for your research. Okay, so that is my take. Start with them. They will tell you what will work for your kind of request. So if you're a scientific student and you like drawing graphs, GPT 4.5 is able to draw all manners of graphs on its own, and you can customize them. So when you copy it, you don't produce what GPT gave you, you customize it to suit your values, your findings, and things like that. But some of them you really need to pay for. So think about the cost implications as well. And I just wanna also share with the participants in session one of my strategies for using some of the AI engines as a researcher is that and this is ethical use of AI. You have identified the engine and it needs you to pay. You don't pay immediately. You take a 7-day trial version. Make a trial version, use it to your advantage. Gather some pilot data, use it on the trial version and see how it represents it for you. Once you see it, you would know and be able to determine whether this is the engine I should use or not. And when you are ready with your entire data that you have collected and you need it to be analyzed and you want beautiful representation, you now pay for that month. You know, so if it's $20 per month, you pay for that 1 month, do all of your data analysis, take it out, and then you stop the subscription. You don't need it. Okay? So it is imperative that you work smart. I have done that a lot of times. I have this Capitec bank account, and the card is just used for such things like that. There is never money that exceeds 500 Rand or 800 Rand in that account, but I use it in that way, and it safeguards my exploitation of all the technological resources that I want to explore.
Just a quick one, Doc. With that use of that AI, do you then have
Yeah.
to reference it, or you just paraphrase or change it or customize it and you good to go?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Thank you so much for asking that. I think the key thing that you have said now is how, like paraphrasing it, referencing it, you must acknowledge the use of that engine. And I will tell you why this is so. Recently, I have reviewed so many articles for publications from different places. And before reviewing, as you would know, or maybe you don't know, so let me use then the opportunity to just share with postgraduate students. Before I review articles now in 2024 or as far back as 2023, before I review articles or before I even review any work that is sent to me, I look at the policy in that journal or in that conference on the ethical use of AI. Some conferences and some publications and some journals, they will tell you that we encourage the ethical use of AI and the citation of engines that are used to assist researchers. So this means that if I draw my diagrams or I generate my graphs or my images from something like ChatGPT 4.5, I am going to reference it to say, diagrams generated with the use of ChatGPT 4.5, but adapted for the current study. Diagrams generated with the use of GPT 4.5, but adapted for the current study. So this gives myself as the reviewer the insight that these beautiful diagrams, you generated them using the power of this application, but all the ideas that have been written in it, that have been adapted in it, are your ideas as the researcher. That is the best way. So you don't put it there and just pretend as if I did all of this hard work by myself with my own hands. No, no, colleagues, don't do that. Even in your thesis or your dissertation, if you draw mind maps or write maps using any kind of artificial intelligence engine, write diagram generated using this engine, but adapted by the researcher in this way, or just say adapted by the researcher or the content, give the details. It is very important to be transparent. That is the ethical use of AI. I hope that answer your question, Kosi.
Yes, Doc, it's answered my question. Thank you for that. I don't know if we do have other question from the floor. Okay, I think we don't have any questions from the chat now. Anyone who have a question, colleagues, before we close the session?
Thank you so much for all the positive comments. I'm just going ahead and liking all of them. Thank you so much.
Well, if we do not have any questions for Dr. Mafo, I think we should let her go and end the session. I would like to thank everyone for making your time. Okay, there is a question from Spencer. Spencer, you may go ahead. Spencer, your hand was raised up. I don't know if you wanted to ask a question or it was a mistake, maybe. Okay. To David, yes, the session is recorded and it will be shared with everyone to your respective Moodle communities. Spencer, you may go ahead.
Doc, may we ask for your email address?
Oh, yes, yes. I will okay, maybe I just write it quickly, but I will share my slides with the RCD colleagues, and then they can always share it with you. But my email is very short. It's mpen@uj.ac.za.
Thank you, Doc, for sharing your email. Any other question before we close the session?
So I don't know, maybe let me just share one more insight with the postgraduate students that are in session. I think the University of Johannesburg is currently working on the final version of the ethical use of AI. And it is something that we must remember, that as the university that we are, a leading university as far as technologies of the future are concerned, we do not say, one of the things that I saw in the tentative draft is that you are not prohibited from using any kinds of AI engine as research students, but you are rather urged to use them carefully, ethically, and transparently. So I'm just citing out the words from that document. So I don't know whether it has been circulated to you, but I think they are in the final process of the draft to get to what would be the final copy that will be circulated to students. So please, when you do, so this is to say you need to work smart and not hard. Use what is available to you to help you think deeper and rephrase, and make sure that you use it ethically and transparently. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Doc, for sharing that. I think it will help a lot with the understanding because I feel like students and everyone has a misconception or misunderstanding of how to use AI to their best capabilities. So I think that will help and it will now open our eyes as students as well.
That's right.
Thank you, colleagues. Any other question before now we close the session? Please do fill out the evaluation form. This also helps us in planning more of the same kind of workshops in preparing. And also we share the feedback with our facilitators and just to motivate them, just to give them the feedback on how they did with the workshops. So please do fill the evaluations form. Well, it seems like we don't have any other questions right now. So I will let us close the session. Thank you very much, Dr. Marfa, for taking your time and facilitating today's session. It was a very insightful and informative session. I hope everyone from here in this session gain something or will now have a more information going forward. We thank you for taking your time. And thank you to all our participants for joining us and making this session a possible one. Please be lookout of more upcoming sessions. Just check on your email or visit our Moodle communities. We do have many more sessions like this to prep all the postgraduate student. I'll close the session now, and please do fill up the evaluation form, and as well as I will share the resources used, such as the recording as well as the presentation, to your respective Moodle communities. So I thank you so much. Have a lovely day further. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.